Hello, soldiers. Today is the date of January 20th, 2026, also known as my birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a bit of a misfire. Oh, is it not recording my voice? Oh, it is. We had a bit of a misfire earlier trying to launch a horizontal stream, but the viewability was disgusting. The viewability was absolutely disgusting, and, well, we thrive on a viewable stream. That's kind of what we need. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're on the shorts format. I know, the shorts format. People are iffy about the shorts format, but until YouTube fixes its algorithm on, horizontal streams, I think we're going to have to stick with the shorts. It's so frustrating, but that's what we're going to have to do until we build up a bit of a bigger audience, you know what I mean? Once we have that audience initially built up, it'll be a lot easier to do horizontal streams. But for now, we are gonna just have to do the regular. Once I introduced the horizontal, I kind of shot it a little early because it was my birthday, and I wanted to do a bit of a bigger stream, but when I fully launch the horizontal format, I want it to be essentially more of a you should have started a little later. Loner just started gaming. Oh, well shit. Bill, did you get notified of this stream but not the other one? That's so strange. It seems YouTube wants me to be in the shorts format. Happy 26th. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's so weird. I tried to stream in horizontal for a couple minutes and there's like no viewability. No one was joining the stream, so I didn't want to be lonely on my birthday. Come on now. Who wants that? Who wants that? Not this guy. Anyways, we do have an amazing show for you still today, regardless of the format. We have quite a bit to talk about. Unfortunately, my medication hasn't arrived recently, so we're flying without the meds right now. By the way, guys, remember to like and subscribe. In advance, I clicked a little. I got notified for the other one. Interesting. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome. Remember to like and subscribe to the stream if you guys enjoy. We'll be getting started on the full show here in a few minutes, but for right now, I want to talk to the chat, see how everyone's doing. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully we're doing well. The music soundtrack is from Front Mission 4, a game that's on screen right now. It's all about preventing a war between the United States and Europe, which is ever more apparent these days, let me tell you. We'll be talking about Greenland, we'll be talking about the recent subpoena that Donald Trump issued against Tim Walz. Can you guys believe that? I mean, this is corruption at its finest. By the way, guys, remember to like and subscribe if you guys aren't already. You're doing poorly? No, why are you doing poorly, Bill? Bill is an amazing community member, head mod of the mod team, and front runner for the mod elections we'll have at some point. But hopefully everybody's doing well. I really hope you guys are doing well. We'll get started here in about, I'd say about 5 minutes. I can't convince my brother to have a chocolate fountain or even a cotton candy dispenser at his wedding. They are no fun. That is no fun. What the hell? That is not whimsical at all. I want my wedding to be whimsical and enjoyable. That is heartbreaking. You know what? We can get started a little quicker than we usually do because we do have a lot to cover. Yeah, I think that's a good enough reason as any. I do have to get my Brave up and running real quick, guys. Brave browser, an amazing browser that is not sponsored at all. We don't do sponsored content out here. We will only make our money someday through the benefit of you guys. I do want to set up a link here soon so you guys can donate and all of that, but I always feel bad asking for money because I don't feel like I'm doing too much here. But a lot of people have asked me to set up a dono link, so I'm thinking I'll do it. And who knows? Maybe that'll get me out of the depression of working a 9 to 5. The screen's gonna go black for you guys one moment. But to get there, I recommend you guys like and subscribe to the video because it gets me out there, it gets me in the viewability. We love that. And yeah. One moment, I gotta send out that we are live. And I kind of tricked some people. Conduit Biscuit got to me. Well, I mean, I've been thinking about it for a while, but I just don't know if I provide a service that is, you know, like super valuable. But I know some people come to me for the news, and I really appreciate that. And I hope I'm a clear source. And to be honest, you know, the job I'm at right now is not the most glorious thing in the world. But I've always thought if I wanted to make money off of YouTube and stuff like that, I could just start like a lore channel and really go deep into that if I ever wanted to make money off of it. But politics is my passion, you know? And it feels dirty to turn your passion into money, but at the end of the day, I do have to look out, you know, for myself and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about it. I am.
Corrupt Party.
But anyways, we've got a video by Chadzilla, Coffeezilla, Voidzilla that talks about corrupt pardons. I've been wanting to watch this on the show for a while now, so let's just get into it.
Corrupt pardons corrode trust and lead to the inevitable feeling that crime is legal if you know the right guy, if you can afford to pay off the right person. And sadly, we're seeing more and more of these pardons coming out where the people getting the pardon are donating to specific political organizations related to our White House.
And I just think this is so embarrassing. Truly, I think this is so embarrassing for our country because it completely undermines any of the arguments for like drug enforcement with his pardoning of that drug lord. Just saw Jimmy Kimmel's channel, not a fun of his, but glad his censoring backfired. Like, damn, those are a lot of views. Hey, there we go. I love to hear it.
Specifically, there's an example of felony bribery and other charges where the daughter donates $2.5 million to MAGA Inc. And then later
I had never heard about this, by the way. If you guys were one of the 2 people that viewed my stream, you were lucky enough to get the reaction. I had actually never heard about this, so.
$1 million to MAGA Inc. And then suddenly her dad and a bunch of other people who were being charged and led to be sentenced, they suddenly get off. They suddenly get a pardon. None of them have to face accountability.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, gets me boosted out there. I do a show every day. Times vary, however, because the 9 to 5 shift typically is actually more like either a 3 to 11 or a 10 to 6. So it really depends on how the corporate gods are feeling that day.
And the question is, what does that do to our country? What does that do to the soul of the people who are trying to live right, who are trying to do things the right way? What does it do to watch people who have money and access and power kiss the ring and then get away with fraud. It makes you not believe in ultimate justice. I also want to point out that another guy who received a pardon, David Levy, he was convicted by a jury in 2019 for his role in a scheme to defraud bondholders while he was the co-chief investment officer of a New York hedge fund. Now, when he was convicted, the person said in the verdict, a warning for all the fraudsters out there.
My God,
no matter
that's
how slick you think you
embarrassing.
are, liars, frauds, and cheats never win. That really is what we all tell ourselves at night, right? We say, hey, it's not worth trying to cheat.
Well, it doesn't matter telling yourself that when the Trump presidency is willing to take, bribes left and right. I mean, this is going to be talked about in the history books, folks, how corrupt and how dishonest this administration is. It's really gonna, people are gonna remember this. That's the legacy Trump is bringing. He can sit here all day and think that Greenland is going to be a legacy piece that people remember. The next administration, if we do anything militarily, will give it back to Greenland. So I don't know why he thinks that's going to be a win. And we already technically have Greenland. We have so many bases, so many contracts with them. I mean, come on. What are we doing here?
To get ahead, because ultimately you will be caught. Ultimately, you will be brought to justice.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, gets me boosted out there. You guys are going to hear me say that a lot. That's the one advantage of a horizontal stream, is I don't have to constantly reinforce that idea.
Except when you just get a pardon instead.
And a couple of
except when the powers that be reach down and go, actually, we're going to go ahead and take that back. And I think a good example.
But at least with the scheduled streams, I think people can watch it horizontally. Hi, what's up, Skippy? How are you doing today? I don't think I've seen you in the chat. What's up, dog? How are we doing today?
Just like in my own life, I watched myself experience the disappointment here. Was in a non-pardon way. There's this guy, Sheldon Johnson, who appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience. He was a guy who was a violent offender, and later he gets, let out of jail. It's kind of like a story of rehabilitation, mercy. That's how it was pitched. Except then the guy later murdered someone like a month later.
Jesus,
just like immediately
dude.
went back, and it was so sad.
Jesus. Yo, what's up? Hey, Brian, how are you doing today?
To watch people in the comment section go from being like, yeah, like we really need to give people second chances, to being hardened and be like, that guy should have never been let out.
The last case that we talked about, we had a very unfortunate incident happen after the podcast, about a month later.
How do you spin this to your audience? Like, yeah, I would have just been like, dude, we just had a fucking murderer on here. That motherfucker cut a person up. The U.S. used to have like 15 different bases in Greenland, but now they scaled back and only have one base in Greenland because they decided extended presence in Greenland wasn't worth it. I'm chilling. World still wildin'. Yeah, there's some crazy shit going on in the world right now, dude. It feels like, I don't know, anything could happen.
Beheaded somebody.
And that was its own type of corrosive experience, because obviously that's a sad thing to see somebody get basically a second lease on life and just throw it away. But then it also hardens something inside of you, where the next guy who asks for a second lease on life, you're less likely to be like, yeah, I think that person should, because you're more hesitant to allow the opportunity of re-victimization. And I'm kind of experiencing that right now with the current era, because we're seeing some of these people who not only they're getting special favors, obviously there's sort of this pay to play going on. Some of these people are then later re-victimizing people.
Hey, what's up, Juice Boy? And Bud, all I'm going to say is, even if that's true, I haven't looked into that, but even if that's true, it's very obvious Trump has pardoned thousands more than Biden ever did. And they were far more corrupt. Far more corrupt. I mean, the Voidzilla just said it here. Do I have to rewind it to tell you what the case was? That guy was wild, and he killed someone and just kept them in his own fridge and kept using that as a regular fridge? Oh my God, bro. Oh, congratulations, Bill. A B is great, bro. That's amazing. That's far above average, dude. A C plus is better than average. So a B, that's great,
this is
man.
the saddest part of it. Like, I recently learned of this guy, Eli Weinstein, who in the past term of Donald Trump was commuted, which means that his restitution wasn't forgiven, but his prison sentence was just over. He had been sentenced to over 20 years in jail for this horrendous fraud scheme where he pled guilty to a $200 million Ponzi scheme involving phony
and
real
ICE
estate.
also shot a
Ultimately, he was ordered
citizen
to
in our
over
streets, and I feel like maybe our FBI could handle sexual crimes against children and stuff like that. Why does ICE have to be the people that do that? Like, my opinions on ICE have really soured over the past week. I won't lie. I went from, obviously it doesn't need to be abolished, to, yeah, I don't know if that really needs to exist. But yeah, I mean, I really have trouble squaring it away in my mind because the reputation is just so damaged now. It's so damaged, dude. Like, I don't feel like it sounds like the defund the police stuff, which I was never in agreement with. I think we obviously need police, but do we need ICE? I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen a super convincing argument for why local PD couldn't handle some of these dudes. I mean, for deporting and stuff like that, yeah, sure, but do they need an armed section of law enforcement? That's just not true. Sanctuary cities do enforce laws, my friend. You don't walk outside and a twister of criminals doesn't take off your clothes instantly.
Jail and $215 million in restitution. So he gets let out, right? We give this guy mercy. But after that, pretty much immediately after that, he starts planning a new scheme. I mean, it's like the same thing with like Sheldon Johnson. He starts planning another substantial scheme to defraud investors and does another Ponzi scheme, re-victimizing a whole new group of people, which means the pardon was a huge mistake. I mean, we just caused a way more damage by letting this guy out, and now he got indicted again, like by the Justice Department again. This is the second time, and this time the Ponzi scheme involved scarce medical
Automedici? No, I haven't heard
supplies,
of that.
baby formula, and first aid kits supposedly destined for wartime Ukraine. Weinstein didn't try to make his victims whole. He made more victims as alleged in this indictment. It's like, that is dark. That is a very sad thing to read, except what's sadder is that guy is now going for a second pardon. He is pitching himself for a second pardon to get out of it again. And what is he going to do if he gets out? I mean, I'm not a mind reader or anything, but I would guess he's going to do it all over again. I mean, like, obviously, right?
Yeah, probably.
So this is a Bloomberg original, which talks about Eli Weinstein and his schemes, and the reporter says this.
One person that I've spoken to for my reporting says that Weinstein has been reaching out to people asking if they'd either consider working on his
Weinstein? No way. We're not pardoning Weinstein, right, guys? We're not pardoning Weinstein. I'm sorry.
pardon. This would be quite extraordinary.
Weinstein was found guilty in 2025. Our reporting suggests that he is also trying to build a team
themselves
to
otherwise.
fight for.
But why didn't the other cops draw then? You know, that's my ultimate question. But we can't go down this meme hole this early. We can't. I'm sure we'll.
Now I know
I've got an
hard
entire
to believe
debate section
that someone
over it.
could be so arrogant, narcissistic,
Oh,
and like
different Weinstein.
delusional enough to think they could get a second pardon after doing basically the same thing all over again.
Okay, it's a different Weinstein, ladies and gentlemen, but still, I mean, he's done it already.
But if you thought that like I did, you'd be very mistaken, because we just did that. We just set a different fraudster free from prison for a second time. This coming after we issued a pardon for Adriana Camberos, who was initially freed with a commutation, but then she and her brother were convicted in 2024 in an unrelated fraud, and then this week he pardoned both siblings, meaning that
No,
it is the
not
second
Harvey
time.
Weinstein. I was confused there too. Hey, the Weinstein name is kind of cursed now, dude. Anytime you hear Weinstein, you kind of perk up like, what the fuck is that guy doing? But anyways, thank you guys so much for the likes and the subs. It means a lot to me. You guys are killing it out there. Thank you guys so much. If you guys aren't already, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there. And if you guys disagree with me, feel free to join the Discord. It's in the description of this video and on my channel. And let me know in the chat and we can have a fun debate. You know what I mean?
She got out of jail using the president's pardon power. Like, why are we doing this? And what signal are we sending
what's
to
up,
the
Rebel
public?
Duster?
It
Good to
really
see
is
you.
the feeling that crime is legal for the right person. Even if
Hey, I told you you're never banned from the chat. Just timed out for a little bit. You know what I mean? But I would never ban anybody. Just time them out usually.
you're unlucky enough to get indicted, you can get pardoned a second time for doing the same thing after learning nothing.
America is doing great. Thumbs up. The gay kids won't agree. What are we doing great at right now, dude? The country feels like it's on a knife's edge between, you know, just some horrible stuff. The link of our Discord is not working. Oh, geez. Well, let me get you guys the link real quick. I'll send it in the chat and I don't know if you have to update it every so often. I know that might be a problem. But if it's not working, there's that, and I'll pin it in the chat for you guys. Oh, I muted this. Haha, you got me. He called me gay. You got fired? Oh, shit, I'm sorry to hear about that, man. Well, don't worry. That's a common thing happening to a lot of people right now, actually. Is that there's a tightening of the jobs. Things are getting more expensive, so companies are trying to cut corners where they can.
We're just gonna re-victimize more people. I cannot tell you how frustrating this is as somebody who cares about scams, who cares about fraud. It's so uncommon for it even to go through the long judicial process. You are seeing the 1% that actually get in trouble for this stuff, and we're throwing out the people who actually do face justice. I mean, it is so disheartening to see. And part of the reason I'm even covering it is because I so much didn't want to cover it. I've gotten sick of covering all the unjust pardons, the fraudster self-dealing pardons, but that itself,
Yeah, I heard it's super easy after to find a job, you know? Should just be able to go out there and pick one, right? You know? Gosh, and companies do make it kind of difficult to fill out applications and stuff. Paper applications just don't exist anymore.
Is like the acid doing its job on my soul, where I get sick of it. I get used to the idea that crime is legal, so then I don't cover it, and then I just accept that that's the status quo, and that should not be the status quo. I know it kind of is becoming that way, but it is gross to see still.
Yeah, that's bullshit, Rebel Duster. 2.5 years and that is bullshit, dude. It's always easy to find a job, almost never easy to find a career. That is very true. I don't even know how easy it is I haven't seen too many "we're hiring" posters, but because I won't lie, the position I'm in, I like having it, but I think I could do better work somewhere else, you know?
And I still need to remind myself that this is not normal. This should not be the case. And we should not be giving pardons to fraudsters who have conflicts of interest in the White House, or who are going to go on and do the exact same thing. So I'm really just making this video to try to remind myself and others that this is... is
glad you
not
have a
normal.
career
It's
path for
bizarre.
that.
It's happening, but we should not accept it as the status quo or as something that's acceptable. And yeah, that's basically it. Corrupt
Yeah, this is some bullshit, dude. All these because it just incentivizes more scams to happen. And so it's gonna continue in this path. Anyways, we have a message from our boy, Pete Buttigieg. That's right. I actually really like Pete. He speaks to a lot of problems the average American kind of goes through. So he's got a message.
A lot of folks are asking whether the president's behavior today toward Norway, Denmark, and Greenland is something to take seriously, or whether it's a deflection from the president's failure to help with America's domestic economic problems here at home.
Now, that's how I feel personally. I feel like it's a distraction from the failing of the Trumponomics, the failing of Trumponomics, you know, setting up a giant trade wall with the entire world is not healthy. And I think we're seeing that.
Home.
Trump is not my father. He is my president, but he is not my father. That is very weird that you're saying that. I'm just going to put that out there. Hold on, I'm getting a call. Hello? Oh, nice.
The true answer is that it's both. So this is going to be just another one of those weeks when we've got to deal with more than one thing at a time. Everyone on the news right now is talking about Greenland, and I will come to that in a minute. But first, we've got to be clear about something playing out right here at home, which is that millions of Americans' health premiums have shot up this month. And it doesn't have to be this way. A few days ago, the House actually voted to extend the tax credits to keep premiums lower. That was led by Democrats, but it passed the Republican House because some Republicans joined in after feeling enormous political pressure from all of us. So, are your premiums going to come down now? Well, no, not until the Senate passes it too. And right now, Senate Republicans are...
Yeah, tariffs, I guess tariffs, but tariffs in the way that they're implemented is a bit of a problem. Like, I think tariffs targeting certain sectors to incentivize our own industry is great. You know, Biden kept the Chinese tariffs because they were a good idea. However, a trade wall with the entire world is a bit of a problem. Especially when you're threatening, like using them to threaten for like our allies. I think that's a major issue. And I think that's just too much power, dude. Way too much power.
Are refusing. But this is very important to understand. With one phone call, one tweet, Donald Trump could change that. If he tells the Senate Republicans to make it happen, they would do that. But he's not. So let's make it very clear that Donald Trump is standing between millions of Americans and lower health insurance premiums, which is why so many people right now are deciding they might have to drop insurance altogether just to make mortgage or rent.
God, that's insane, dude. And it's a problem no American should ever have to choose between, in my opinion. You know, I'm a liberal. I love the idea of a free market and all that. But we have to accept that in certain sectors, a public option needs to be issued, you know, like we do it for the Postal Service, and that's one of the shining examples of a public option with the free market. Power is not too much. It's more of the abuse of the power problem. I don't know. I feel like tariffs should be something that the general public kind of, or not our representatives vote on personally, because the economy doesn't shift that drastically. The issue is the EU GDP is struggling, and using it instead of troops is more civil war way to express differences. Well, the issue I have is that we already have like a lot of bases. Like we could reactivate bases in Greenland. It's like we already have it kind of. Like why do we need it on our map? I think Trump just wants it on our map, and I don't think that's healthy. You know what I mean? I big territory doesn't mean big influence typically.
Now, again, on the House side, pressure worked, so do not let up. Don't let up on Senate Republicans.
Rick, I hate to say it, but America's problems do not run. They run a little deeper than the last administration, you know. I think the last administration did what it could, and I think we passed a lot of good policy, but there are still issues that remain.
On the White House.
And I can accept that. You guys think Trump is just like this perfect angel. I'm not talking about people like Brian, but you guys just think it's like this perfect angel, and it's just like, what's going on here?
That those Senate Republicans.
He wants to be bigly. Yeah, he wants United States to be bigger United States. Bigger. Oh, Ian, that's nice to know you're against the Constitution. From what I am made to understand, Trump is trying to get Greenland to put economic strain on Putin and I don't know. I don't know if that, because how is that going to put economic strain on him? I don't know.
To obey.
Oh, geez. If you voted for boys and girls sports, then I'm sad to say that's not very healthy, my friend.
So that's one thing on the home front. But meanwhile, the president sent an unhinged message to Norway, like a take away the car keys level of crazy message. Basically saying because...
How is he better than the last administration? Do you remember tensions being this high during the last administration? Even during the BLM riots, we didn't have our administration threatening to use the Insurrection Act.
Norwegian...
Eventually reconvene on our debate, TGDE. I just forgot when we were talking about everything going on. No, you're totally fine. Don't worry about it, dog. You're fine.
Government didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize. The Danish government needs to give him Greenland, or else he will punish all of Europe. This isn't just crazy and embarrassing.
Well, if that's the case, then why don't we just set up our troops there and intercept Black Fleet ships? You know, instead of just setting up, instead of taking it, we could just set our troops there. Like, we basically own it. We have a mineral deal dating back to the 1950s. We don't need any of that because of legacy media. Oh yeah, we watch a lot of legacy media out here, folks. Is telling you not care what Biden does. Interesting.
It is dangerous. These are our allies. I remember serving side by side with troops from Denmark.
Do some stuff? No, you're totally fine, bro. Don't worry. That's why I don't really ban people. I just time them out because I've been in that situation, so don't worry.
Mark, in Afghanistan. These alliances have kept us safe for generations. Tearing them up makes all of us less safe here at home. And when the U.S. is even vaguely threatening its own allies...
Need their space and cooling water? That's an interesting argument I haven't heard, but it might be the tech bros. You might be right about that.
Destabilizing event for the entire Western.
And that's something else. I don't like the idea of setting up, I don't like the idea of completely destroying NATO. Like, why to destroy NATO for Greenland is laughable, honestly. This is a huge defense alliance, the biggest defense alliance the world has ever seen. Honors, but having an active base on Greenland would help supply the naval fleet and would get. Well, we can do that already. It's the thing. That's what I kind of push back against. Is like we can already do that, you know. So I don't really think we need it. In the sense of like territory, we can just set up bases there already. We used to have a shit ton, but then we decided it wasn't worth it, so we withdrew a little bit.
World. Then, of course, we're facing the continued presence of federal agents on American streets in places like Minneapolis. The courts recently made it clear that many forms of ICE retaliation against protesters are against the law. And because that would violate American law, the courts are limiting what they can do going forward.
Save America is very triggered right now. Denmark doesn't want any of that, though. They want autonomy. I haven't heard that. I heard that last time I checked, Denmark was okay with all of that. But now they may not be because we just threatened them. So now it may be different. The calculations have indeed changed, unfortunately. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. I do a show basically every day where I talk about the news and politics and so much more. So if that interests you guys, please remember to like and subscribe.
But obviously, there are still enormous concerns about how they're actually behaving on the ground. And these legal findings prove that this has nothing to do with law and order. So I'm very worried that further deployments may cause even more disorder and endanger even more American neighborhoods.
No, it does matter what Denmark thinks because they're a sovereign nation. You know, I know you guys are kind of caught up in the fervor of national pride, but many people have went down the vein you guys went down, and it never ends up good for them. It never ends up good for them.
It's another clear example of how this White House is avoiding.
I am doing something constructive. I'm letting my political voice be known. I'm sorry that all you can think about is like the military and helping your nation. But I believe helping your nation is more than just going to the military. I'm sorry, I think a little higher than that.
Solving problems like health insurance and electricity prices by instead using threats and division.
Yeah, it does matter what Denmark wants. They own Greenland, right? It's like we can't just ignore a nation's sovereignty. And does it not matter that we have an alliance like NATO? Okay, that's a crazy conspiracy theory microkernel. This guy watches Tucker Carlson. Do you guys remember that rant Tucker Carlson went on? Where he was like, hell, I'd know if he's gay or not. I'd know if he's gay. That's kind of weird. Am I going through Denmark? But it's not that. We're in the age of quick communications, you know?
Chaos. So what can any of us do about it, especially with November still feeling like it's a long way off?
How do we ignore allies' sovereignty? Can you please explain how we do that, microkernel?
Let me stress one more time that political pressure can work.
Whoa, now, Glenn Sharp Glenn, you did just send a major, massive bomb. Pete Buttplug. Wow. Wow, that is a good argument.
Gerrymandering in Indiana to the House vote on...
Yeah, we do it to those who aren't NATO. They're like, I'm not in support of ignoring nation sovereignty. Let me be clear, but when we do it, it's not necessarily to our allies. You know?
Healthcare. We have seen that you can force the people in charge of this country to change their behavior. You can change the votes of Republican elected officials at least some of the time. And you can show everyone that Americans do not support what's going on right now. But that requires all of us to keep raising our voice, whether it's online or in the streets. It requires all of us to stay organized and vocal so that there...
But were any of those allies, please tell me, Microkernel, were any of them allies opposed to U.S. Involvement? If you can answer that as yes, then we can have a discussion.
There can be no mistake where
mean?
you stand. And getting involved politically right now matters more than ever, too.
Just a white boy, you are very concerned about the sexual proclivities of people's and their gluteus maximus. So you might want to look into that. Anyways, I guess since we're talking about Greenland, we might as well talk about it here. You know, Europe's plan for dealing with Trump's backfire. What now? This is by Political Fronts. They're an amazing YouTube channel. Go check them out. Amen, amen. Trump is evil. MAGA is insane. Yeah, I think Trump is not a good dude. Not at all. And the more he focuses on foreign policy, it's ever more clear that he does not want to focus on domestic policy.
Not exactly very common today, so when
Allies where we just showed up and put our feet on their table? Yeah, I can't think of any. Like, in any that we were, it was before they became a democracy. So, like, Japan. You know what I mean? That's the closest I can kind of think of.
when it does emerge, it's worth paying attention.
ICE is a PDF file to police force. Yeah, it's becoming really hard for me to justify their existence, like, at least in their current state.
And right now, Europeans across the political spectrum seem to agree on one thing. The continent is in a wee bit of trouble.
Yeah, make Greenland great again. Why not focus on America? I thought you guys wanted to focus on America. Crime is down. Where are you seeing that crime is down? Like, where areas where he deploys the National Guard? Let me see what else. Let me address. You're being disingenuous for your views. Hold on. Hold on. Gas is back to $2.50. Okay. Originally, well, that's not what Trump is saying. Trump is saying it's down by $2. Illegals are getting out. And where have you seen the numbers illegals are getting out? Like, what? So, Trump is directly contradicting you in your claim. Anyways. Hello, I am back. Hey, what's up, man? It's good to see you. Biden saying that we would be in a potential declaration of war. Well, that you live in Serbia, right? I believe it was Serbia. So, 30 people, time to go. Oh, Robert, I will miss you, my friend.
And just to be clear, for people who don't understand sarcasm, it's in serious trouble. For the better part of 75 years,
yeah, we're about to learn how Europe could fuck the U.S. So you are a retard. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. That usually means when you start calling someone names, it usually means the person you're calling names typically is right. Now, that's just what I've noticed, because you don't have anything else to fall back on rather than, and you just call me an R-word, which is fine, man. I'm not crying at all.
Assumption underwrote just about everything on collective continental security. Whatever else happened, America would be there. That certainly shaped everything downstream.
Glad to see you joining back in the stream. Hopefully things are going well out there in Serbia.
Of defense policy, how Europe organized itself, what it prioritized, and what it allowed itself to neglect. That assumption survived the Cold War.
South Korea was told we're helping. We got the okay as soon as we showed up, and Pakistan was cleared from their leadership. Yeah, I cannot remember. I don't think, because I don't think we've ever done this. The PDF file is hurting America for sure. Well, he is definitely tied to something. I don't know what that is, but
the war on terror, the countless political firestorms, including the entirety of Trump's first term, So when Trump won re-election in 2024, European leaders believed that they had learned enough to navigate whatever came next. To appropriate an old meme,
Yeah,
laughs
it
in
just makes you
2026.
sound insecure when you like, never make fun of somebody's size. You know what I'm saying? That just projects right onto you.
Trump's recent demands over Greenland have left the bloc's plans in ruins. After 12 months of flattery, obsequiousness, difficult word to say, isn't it? And brown-nosing
Okay.
Trump like a sentient suppository.
It was never under $4 the entire time Biden was was a president. Let's just fact check that claim real quick. One moment, guys. I know we do this a lot because people like to make crazy claims about gas. So last year, it was $3.12. Now it's not even what you're saying. Gas is actually $3.80 or $2.82. So it's not even what you're saying. Congrats, you are a liar. You are a liar. In Michigan, it was never under. It was $3.14 last year. What are you talking about, dude? Never under. Quote unquote, never under. That's the average, you disingenuous fuck. I'm disingenuous. No, you just got called out for being wrong and now you're coping. Sorry, friend.
All the continent has to show for it is the worst transatlantic crisis in decades. Now Europe faces questions that it spent decades
now averages are fake science, ladies and gentlemen. Now averages is fake.
avoiding. What leverage does the continent actually have? And if America isn't the ally it was supposed to be, what comes next?
Oh, those are day-to-day prices. You realize that, right? AAA is updated daily. So it is the day-to-day prices. God, that is crazy. You just got called out on that. Damn, dude. Holy. Yeah, these are daily prices. That's interesting, isn't it? How even by going by your standards, you're still wrong.
Pardons
The median price? Oh my God. Now we're going into averages are inaccurate, ladies and
corrode
gentlemen.
trust and lead to the inevitable feeling that crime is legal if you know the right guy, if you can
Oh my
afford
God.
to
This
pay
is
off.
cope. This is some cope I haven't seen. Not day to day. It's the average of all day-to-day prices. I'm sorry. I'm not going to look at your specific Causeway where it's $2.59, my friend. I'm sorry
right
that I'm
person.
not
And sadly,
considering
we're-
your Causeway where it costs $2.59.
We're seeing more and more of these pardons coming out where the people getting the pardon are
Oh, thanks.
donating
Thanks for the sub, by the way. I really appreciate that.
to specific political organizations related to our White House. Specifically,
This
there's
is
an example of
insane.
felony
By the way, if you
bribery
guys are
and
enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and helps out the viewability. They be telling the algorithm they love it. Amen, right? They don't see it, but they are. My governor is raising taxes. Who's my governor? Jarrah Spy. Please
other
tell me.
charges where the daughter donates $2.5 million to MAGA Inc. and then later another $1 million to MAGA Inc. And then suddenly her dad and a bunch of other people who were being charged and led to be sentenced, they suddenly get off. They suddenly get a pardon. None of them have to face accountability. And the question is, what does that do to our country? What does that do to the soul of the people who are trying to live right, who are trying to do things the right way? What does it do to watch people who have money?
Oh, we can
and
look at the median. Hold on. It has it somewhere here. Oh, this is the Michigan Metro average prices. Isn't that interesting? So we do have the averages from all here. Promote this guy is a retard, so he won't understand. Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I'm not looking at your exact county, dude. I'm sorry. That's just not how it works. Well, I think it has the median somewhere here, but I don't quite know where it is. But we can look at the median prices. Median. Yeah, it's just got the average from AAA. Well, if you've got a link to that, I would love to see it. What map you're using? I'm not trying to justify my side, dude. I was literally just looking for it, but anyway,
offered
we're
Europe
gonna
an
continue
arrangement that
on
was,
because
with
we're
the benefit of
actually,
hindsight,
it's crazy. We go from Greenland to gas prices.
almost too good to be true. American military power would guarantee European security, and in exchange, Europeans could turn their attention and their budgets toward building out generous welfare states and deepening economic integration with each other. After 2 world wars that had originated on the continent and killed tens of millions of people, disarmament had a genuine appeal both domestically and abroad. NATO Secretary General Lord Ismay summed up how this worked when he infamously said that the alliance was put together in order to keep the Russians out, the Americans in, and the Germans down.
Observing reality. You're right. I don't understand reality. I just work at a gas station.
Now, that last part has almost been lost to history, but it helps explain how we got here. After being responsible for the start of 2 world wars, Berlin wasn't exactly trusted, to say the least. Even in 1990, with German reunification on the horizon, several European leaders were actively working to stop it, from Margaret Thatcher in the UK to Italian Prime Minister Andreotti, who famously said he loved Germany so much he preferred to see.
All right, Utope. I don't even know how to say your name. Cube. I'm going to call you Cube. Why Cube? Why don't you come into the Discord and yell at me? Like, this is insane.
The 2 of them. Essentially, the model was set up so Washington would handle the security burden, and Europe would focus on making sure the nationalism and militarism that had produced catastrophe twice in 30 years never returned. And let's be clear, this was long seen as a win for Washington too.
All right.
Europe got defense, and the US
We're
in
not going to be mean to Aiden here, all right? That's a 5-minute timeout by Cube. We're not going to be mean to our members. Come on now, guys. We can disagree without calling each other names.
Not only got bases like Ramstein in Germany that allowed it to project power far into the Middle East or North Africa, but also a vast market into which it could sell American products. But as the Cold War receded and the threat of Russia faded under its kindly new leader Vladimir Putin, a dangerous idea took hold on the continent. That eternal peace was now assured. Defense budgets and military armaments shrank, and by 2010, most Western European countries were spending only a fraction of their Cold War-era budgets on their militaries. That's not to say they all laid down their arms en masse. Britain has maintained a relatively robust military, particularly in its navy, and France has the largest active military in the EU for decades until it was recently surpassed by Poland. And an obligatory shout-out here to the Eastern European nations like Finland that long maintained military readiness. But in general, the direction of travel
Buc-ee's is
was the
sacred.
same, and Germany
We don't
was
have
the
a
poster
Buc-ee's here in Kansas, unfortunately.
child of this evolution, reaching a point when they were so short on firearms in 2014 that they had to send troops into NATO exercises mounting broomsticks on their vehicles for lack of proper equipment. Still, through all this, the transatlantic relationship seemed fundamentally sound. Americans rolled their eyes at this continent of wusses, and Europeans joked about US military adventurism in the Middle East, but the basic understanding was that everyone was on the same team.
Hey, what's up, Rainbow Kitty Corn? How we doing today? Trump's lungs failing? I know I can. Oh yeah, he is not doing
Trump's
well.
first term tested this assumption directly. He questioned whether the United States would honor its NATO commitments, reportedly handed then-Chancellor Angela Merkel a bill for $300 billion, and even campaigned on the possibility of withdrawing from the NATO alliance.
It's a rowdy day for MAGA. MAGA's having a rowdy day today, guys. I wonder what's up.
Altogether. But throughout Trump 1, the system by and large held. Trump complained and he threatened, but American troops remained, and European capitals convinced themselves that this was leverage rather than a genuine threat to their collective security. By the time that Joe Biden took office and recommitted to the alliance, the relief across the continent was palpable. At least in the early days of his administration, the old America was back. Now, that sentiment didn't last very long. A number of events early into Biden's administration rocked the foreign policy consensus that had long dominated much of European centre-right to centre-left politics. Russia's invasion of Ukraine undoubtedly took first place, but the desire...
Right, can you hear Trump's lungs tonight? Because his lungs are having issues. I think we do have a White House meeting somewhere. Yeah, we have it here. So we're going to hear his lungs. Honestly, we might start watching Matt before this is
disastrous US withdrawal from Afghanistan also shook foreign leaders' confidence in the still new Biden administration. By the time that Donald Trump won re-election in the fall of 2024, Europe largely knew it was in a bind, pressed by populist insurgencies, especially on the right, increasingly feeling abandoned internationally. Lacking better options, they chose pragmatically: manage Trump. The theory was relatively straightforward. Trump is infamous for loving flattery, values personal relationships, and could be talked down from some of his more extreme positions if he respected the people urging cooler heads to prevail. Various European leaders tried this to mixed results. Keir Starmer had what appeared to be initial success in his meeting with Trump when he invited the president to a royal state visit. Others were
I think Trump's just... he is hungry. Someone needs to get him a Snicker bar stat. I think he's just been hungry recently.
Prestigious in their approach. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte leans into this to the point of creepiness, at one point calling Trump Daddy at a summit. The second track of this flattery...
God, can you believe that? Calling him Daddy? There's a security in Daddy. Being positioned, we now have broken truce with the United States due to America's spy apparently poisoning him. Jesus. Say it could have been a Russian spy. Well, that's fucking insane. I didn't hear about that.
Was a genuine commitment to rearm, to deflate the attack that Europe was freeloading off of the US. Poland was spending more on defense as a percent of GDP
Mic
than
too
America.
silent, video too loud. Bet. What about now? Is it better now?
Baltic states and Greece were spending over 3%. Only a small number of European countries,
Sorry about
mostly
that, guys.
long-term laggards such as Italy, Spain, Belgium, and Portugal, were failing to reach the 2% benchmark. Yet Europe's Trump strategy ultimately misread the problem. The conflict was less about tone.
Yeah, I don't know how fucking he's
even
still
actual
alive
military
too.
spending, and more
To
about
be quite
ideology.
honest,
Vice
McDonald's
President
does a
J.D. Vance
number
made
to
that
your
clear
body.
at Munich in February of 2025, when he declared that the greatest threat to Europe wasn't Russia, but rather Europe's own policies on speech and migration. Now, we can argue all day about whether...
I'm here, I just keep getting pulled away.
Certain European...
Much better? Hell yeah, Sans. Thank you for letting me know that. Sometimes the audio is always the best. It's like the number one thing for me, and I need to get a better setup, but
countries do
in
have
due
censorship
time.
policies that are egregious to American ears, but then Vance is part of an administration that has tried to force comedians off air and deported students.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you guys want behind the scenes access, make sure to join the Discord, and you guys will receive daily updates of when I'm streaming and what the schedule is going to kind of look like. So make sure to join the Discord. Always a good time.
things his boss doesn't like, so, pot meat kettle. But the key point is that his speech showed the administration came to power with a fixed view of Europe, one that wasn't going to change. A view that said it was decadent, depraved, and perhaps even deserving of dismemberment. By the time this
Kind of can't
weekend,
hear
Trump escalated his
Simon now all that well.
Greenland demands into tariffs on 8 NATO allies,
Oh,
the flattery strategy
just
had all
like
but
that.
collapsed.
That should be
In the aftermath,
perfect.
European
Here, let me
leaders
check
found
my
themselves
levels.
asking a question the alliance's founders never conceived possible.
Why
What
would I
happens
want
when
to
the threat
open a
comes
new
not
OBS?
just from
That's the
within
real
the
question.
alliance, but from the continent's longtime security guarantor? Despite a rather uninspiring
By the way,
performance
shout out to
so far, Europe
Simon.
actually
He's a
does have
great
more leverage
fucking
than it might appear.
YouTuber.
Once you get past the fact that
Turned
NATO
down
countries
just
are
a hair.
moving troops to guard
Just a
against the
hair. That's
possibility of
perfect.
an American invasion, they don't exactly need to achieve total military superiority in order to offer a strong deterrent. Things may have changed substantially in the past few years, but the chance of the United States outright
Oh,
bombing
guys, I'm sorry to. Good now, happy medium, perfect. Do you guys remember that MAGA YouTuber we found the other day? Some random guy speaks. I mean, he's got more subs than me, so I think he's fair game. I was watching some of his stream. He's an oddball. I'm so happy to whoever let me know about that guy. Very fun guy.
A book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced.
Oh shit. Wrong one.
or firing on NATO soldiers remains highly unlikely, even if Trump does want Greenland badly enough.
What if I don't exist? Then how am I watching this live? Well, I do have a reality converter on deck. So luckily I'm able to convert reality to be consumable for the average individual. If it wasn't for the thing, though, I would be completely non-existent.
Enough to kill European soldiers, the blowback in domestic American politics
This guy, hey, that's a good, I like that. This guy does exist, but that guy doesn't exist. I
would be
like that.
so severe that he would be at risk from his own party. As Senator Rand Paul has told the press, around militarily invading Greenland, I've heard of no Republican support for that, end quote. That risk of political backlash genuinely buys time. Europe has also considerable economic leverage and seemed poised to deploy it. They've already prepared retaliatory tariffs on up to $108 billion.
Oh yeah, Aiden, I have heard a little bit about that. I'm sorry, that's a really tough one to be in. You don't have a dimensional augmenter? Not quite yet, but once I get 500 subs, I'm thinking about getting a dimensional augmenter. Sounds fun.
Euros of American goods. France, for its part, is pushing to go further and to activate the anti-coercion instrument, a legal tool approved in 2022 that implements broad...
Okay, Sean, what is this message? You're gonna have to answer this for me. You're a bullshit-spreading, slanderous, reprobate fabricator. Looser triggered psychoputrid dog dripping. Oh my god, that is crazy. What does that even mean?
across the
I'm
board
a sick,
restrictions on
I'm a
countries
sick puppy.
engaging in economic blackmail. This would be a significant step up, bringing options including export controls to investment restrictions to outright blocking American firms from European markets entirely.
Oh yeah, Stephen Miller is a scary dude. I do not like that guy.
It's never been used before, and some are concerned.
Reprobate! Oh my god, I love that word. Reprobate!
That it would provoke some rather unpredictable escalations from Washington. Others argue that that's entirely the point. If you're carrying a weapon, you have to be prepared to use it, and Trump has bet for quite some time that Europe wouldn't know how to fight back if you handed it a loaded gun and said, "Shoot me." Were such an instrument to be used, it could be bad news for the president. Trump has been bleeding support from his base since taking office over his hand.
Microcolonel, you bring up a great point, which is why this whole fight is so stupid, because in the vice versa, we're cutting off the same people that buy our stuff. So it's like, it's a lose-lose on each situation.
Handling of the economy and the continued slowdown in hiring stateside has made the situation all the more of a vulnerability. Inflation has remained relatively under control, though a trade war with one of the US's largest partners would almost certainly send prices soaring. And we have to emphasize
Since we don't know if we should still have a king. Well, I hope democracy comes to your area, Aiden. I really do. Democracy is so important, and so I think it's important. I hope that you have a government that represents you someday. You know, I really do.
That this would all be for Greenland, which until recently wasn't exactly at the top of most Americans' concerns. A majority of Americans oppose buying the island under any circumstances, and support for actual military intervention there falls into single-digit territory.
I don't know. Stephen Miller scares me, dude. I'm not a fan of him.
Europe is not much better off, though. The continent's economy has been limping along for years now. Growth across the Eurozone, the 21 countries that use the euro, barely cracked 1%.
We're engaging in the ancient ritual. Can you explain the loser POV? Oh, well, that's our friend. Hold on. That's our friend Nick Fritas. Now, he is... I think he used to be a representative for Virginia, and he's like full fascism, hates the idea of the Enlightenment. And originally we called him President Shrimp because there's a very interesting picture of him looking like a shrimp. And he's got really small legs, so we call him President Shrimp. Now we do need to replace it probably with, I don't know, Benny Johnson or Tim Pool. I can't quite decide. Maybe somebody else, maybe Candace Owens. I don't know yet. But in that specific video, he was crying about the Democrats winning so many special elections. So it was, just a fun time had by all.
In 2025, with projections for 2026 not looking...
Nick Fritas is a fascist, dude. He is straight up Fasci 101. I'm sorry. He has said things that are, he plays on his podcast, he plays this like both sides, like, maybe I want this, maybe I want that. But his legislation is so lacking. The only bill that he was able to even sign on that he was a bill that would rip the still barely alive child out of a mother's arms and put them in quote unquote life-saving equipment that didn't even save their lives. With things in the way. I thought it was Andrew Tate. Maybe we can get Andrew Tate next time.
Germany,
I think
which
Andrew
had long
Tate
served
would
as the
be a
engine of
fun
European prosperity,
person
has been
to have.
completely
Thanks for the
stagnant,
explanation.
posting
No problem. No problem. We need to maybe do another rightoid of the day. Believe the state should control businesses towards state initiatives. I haven't that might be something he quote unquote believes, but that is not stuff he talks about on his podcast.
growth of just 0.2%. Other major economies, such as France and outside the EU, the UK, aren't faring much better. They have long been stuck well below the 1% threshold
Trump
of growth.
tariffs, while the
both
US
are
needs our
facing surging
microchips. He is an
populist
idiot.
insurgencies.
Amen. He
While
is
there
not
are some
very
brighter
smart.
prospects on the continent, they're more of the exception lately, and a full-blown trade war with the United
Nowadays, the leftists are the fascist. You might need to open your eyes, my friend.
States would hammer Europe's economy. So both sides have genuine vulnerabilities, which means both also have genuine leverage. From where we're sitting, it's increasingly looking like it will come down to who blinks first.
Oh, I didn't quite understand your question. My bad. I am a little stoned. I'll be honest, guys. We've hit the Benjamin a few times. But no, he does advocate for stuff like that. Totally. Hold on, my bad. I apologize. I'll take the L. I misunderstood. No, he believes in big government. He believes in big-ass government, dude. He does not believe in small government at all. He is for ICE coming into cities. He is for the tariffs. This man is not pro-government, or not pro-small government in any sense of the word. That's that dude. He's definitely about censorship. Nick is much closer to a fascist than Trump is. Yeah, I'll give you that. Hey, I'll give you that. Bro, this man he has said some crazy things on his podcast. We don't go over him too much because he's just not as relevant, because he's not I think he's about to not be a representative anymore. I could be wrong. He may not be one anymore, but can be wrong. I just usually in Serbia we favor him because it lines with us, but now it's broken. Yeah, I can see why someone in Serbia might appreciate Trump more, but here in America, he is not. If you need help for your setup, feel free to ask me on Discord. Hey, bet, I will, Juice Boy. I think we're doing all right now. It's just the mic levels I have issues with, and I know Loner is pretty prolific on stuff like that.
Can maintain the unity required to make its threats credible. While there's still quite a bit up in the air at the time of writing this episode, one thing is pretty clear. NATO, not going to be the same ever again. The question now seems to be whether this is in fact the end of the transatlantic alliance, or merely a deep, deep fracture. And this is where it really starts getting grim for Europe. If the continent meaningfully responds to Trump and his threats of taking Greenland, it risks the president pulling out of NATO.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not a leftist. I am a liberal. I believe in democracy. I believe that capitalism, when put on guardrails, is good. Anyway.
But if it sits back and does nothing while one NATO nation attacks and occupies territory of another, well, that would kill the alliance just as definitively as an American withdrawal. As visiting fellow of war studies at King's College London, Shashank Joshi posted on X, quote, Trump cannot say, hand me Greenland and I really will defend the rest of NATO. He can say, if you don't hand it over, I will not be able to abide by Article 5. But that relies on Europeans believing that if they do hand it over, then he will abide by Article 5. That was decreasingly credible anyway. But Anschluss at gunpoint, if it came to that, would decrease it even more. End quote. Again, Europe does have leverage, but that leverage threatens to impose unacceptable costs on member states. Revoking US access to military bases would cripple Washington's ability to project power globally, but those same bases are what many Eastern European nations see as their security guarantee against Russia. And despite a genuine rearmament drive, the continent still is not ready to defend itself without US help. Germany's military systems hover around 50% operational readiness on good days. 12 EU member states do not have a single main battle tank at all. Ammunition production lags so dramatically behind Russia that stockpiles could be exhausted within days of a serious conflict, and that's just to get things started. The industrial base that would need to ramp up production to epic proportions is a shell of its former self. There is only one major TNT producer in the entirety of Europe, creating a massive need for military imports. The catch there being that 2/3 of such imports come from the United States itself. Now, the bright side of all of this is nobody actually thinks all-out war with the US is likely. So, Europe does not need parity, or honestly, anything even close to parity with Washington in terms of military readiness. Rather, its only goal should be credible deterrence against Russia. Getting there will take time, perhaps a decade. And until that readiness is reached, Europe needs a new plan for dealing with Trump. After all, a full year of men like Keir Starmer and Mark Rutte fawning at the president's feet has produced nothing but tariff threats, humiliation, and crises. A full year of MAGA-aligned leaders like Italy's Giorgia Meloni attempting to play the bridge between Trump and Europe has led only to military threats against a NATO ally. Polling has shown that for months, the European public resents its leaders kowtowing to Trump. But so long as that fawning worked, the continent's elite could tell themselves it was worth it. Now, we have the spectacle of our leaders crawling up Trump's sphincter and gaining nothing in return but a great big mouthful of shit. What new tactics Europe could use, though, is anyone's guess. Some have suggested that Trump respects strength, so the answer is to call his bluff.
How we doing
In The Atlantic,
today?
Professor Emeritus at Johns Hopkins University, Elliot Cohen, recently wrote that, quote, if European countries were to permanently deploy, say, 5,000 soldiers armed with surface-to-air and anti-ship missiles to Greenland, keeping them there with orders to fight invading American soldiers to the last round of ammunition, Trump would not order the paratroopers and the Marines to assault that frozen wasteland. Too many body bags. End quote. But for a continent worried it cannot fend for itself, that is a hell of a gamble. And those worries are exactly why Trump may keep escalating against the nations that have been US allies for decades, that have sent their sons and daughters to die in Washington's Middle East adventures. In this president's worldview, there is no greater sin than weakness. Donald Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland, did not mince words when he said the other month that, quote, "No one will take seriously a weak and divided Europe, neither enemy nor ally. We must finally believe in our own strength. We must continue to arm ourselves. We must stay united like never before. Otherwise, we are finished," end quote. And the key word there increasingly seems to be ally, not enemy. For decades, European leaders operated on the assumption that America might be
How
frustrated.
did it
with the
help
continent.
Europe? What are you talking about? It didn't help Europe at all. Donald Trump is threatening, making threats. Didn't help him at
Might
all.
gripe about free riding, but they'd never actually abandon it. The alliance was simply too important, the shared values too deep. NATO was, after all, an American project and had earned the status of the most successful military alliance on Earth. But beneath the surface, cracks were already spreading. After all, it was Barack Obama who initiated the pivot to Asia, refocusing the US away from Europe. And while the winding down of NATO would have been much more gradual under literally any other conceivable president, the divergence of America and Europe's long-shared path may just have been inevitable. The truth is that Europe spent decades telling itself a story about how the world worked, that institutions had genuine binding power, and that through deepening integration, the Americans would be there when it mattered. If that story isn't completely over, then it's certainly faded
Well,
considerably.
it seems not to help
And
helped out in the end because Trump's threatening a major NATO ally.
window
So
for building something to replace it isn't infinite. The kind of military independence that Europe would need to shrug off Trump's blackmail will take years to construct. The continent has time. Not much time, but some. There are French soldiers in Greenland right now, scanning the Arctic landscape for a threat that we can almost guarantee they never thought they would be monitoring for when they enlisted. The threat of hostile US forces intent on seizing NATO territory at the whim of a mad king, exacting revenge for what he believes was a slight by Norway's Nobel Prize Committee. US forces, just like those French troops had trained with, who have now been given orders to kill Europeans. Whether that image represents the beginning of a genuine transformation of European defense abilities, or just another moment that fades once the immediate pressure lifts, is the question that will define the continent's security for generations to come. Thank you for watching.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a piece by Simon. Now, I do have to cut my stream a little shorter here. It'll probably only be 2 hours because it is my birthday, so I will be ending it at the 2-hour mark. I'm so very dearly sorry, but let's hear what Donald has to say here and see if he can lighten the mood. You know what I'm saying? Trump cheated on his wife. That's not very Christian. I agree. He is really butthurt off that Nobel Prize. Happy birthday then? Oh, happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. I really do. That means the world to me. I'll be celebrating with my family a little later here, but I thought, you know, it's been a while since I streamed. So we got to make sure we stream. You old foggy. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. All right, here comes the Don. I wish Donald would give me a happy birthday. I wish he would say happy birthday.
It's a lot of people. I think it's like a record. So these are accomplishments. We have a lot of accomplishments, and as you know, this is the anniversary, first anniversary, January 20th, and it's been an amazing period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced, all page after page after page, individual things. I could stand here and read it for a week and we wouldn't be finished. But we've done more than any other administration has done
Germany,
by far.
we say, Herzlichen Glückwunsch zum Göteborg.
In terms of military, in terms of ending wars, in terms of completing wars, nobody's really seen very much like it. I think it's appropriate that because Minnesota is so much in the fray, and I say to my people all the time, and
Yeah, why
they're so
can't he
busy
just be
doing other
happy with
things,
the
they don't
FIFA trophy?
say it like they should.
Come on, the FIFA trophy. We all know about the FIFA trophy. Oh damn, he talks for a while. Talks for a while today. He's got
They're
something to
apprehending
say.
murderers,
Let's
and
speed him up a
drug
little bit.
dealers, and a lot of bad people, and these are just some of the more recent ones that we have, and I can show you some of the people, vicious, many of the murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? Because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, they're apprehended, and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually.
I don't know. I think Trump's a little more warlike.
In
I'm
the old days, they didn't respect
sorry.
our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all the things all the time that we spent talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And
100-page book gonna take him a week.
One after one.
Okay, that is
These
funny.
are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many
Corrupting
cases, they're
the
murderers, they're drug
president
lords,
of all time.
drug
Well,
dealers.
I do agree.
They're the mentally
But there
insane.
are
Some
people
of
in the
them
chat
who are
that
brutal killers, they're
disagree,
mentally
so
insane.
careful. It's a war zone in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. We've got an active war zone.
They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota. California, it's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the
He's
agitators
like,
and insurrection.
God, I wish I could have done them. God, I wish I would have thought of them. They're incredible. They're incredible.
Whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do
There's
it.
no
A lot of
evidence.
very
to
low
say
IQ people,
that.
they don't do it. Other people work it
People
out.
were saying 89% of the fraud is coming from Minnesota. You know how they get that, or coming from Somalians in Minnesota? That's just because 89% of the Somali population is on some form of government assistance. That doesn't mean they're committing 89% of the fraud. That's insane.
And they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here, they have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country.
They never had a life. They never had a country. What a piece of shit talking about people like this.
They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked
Well,
congresswoman.
you were told wrong. That's just not true.
So here's another one. And I have, oh, by the way, we just took out, these are all what ICE is doing. And it's a dangerous job. These are rough people. Weapons. This one here is very bad.
Oh no, it's fine. We can have a war zone in
Do
chat.
this because
That's
I think we have plenty
fine.
of time. I'm going to this beautiful place in Switzerland, where I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for. In Switzerland, they don't know about this. They don't have this problem. They have other problems, but they don't have this problem. Look, kill somebody. And these are rough people. These are not. This was all allowed into our country through open borders. These dumbest policies. You know, men and women's sports is dumb. But to me, having an open border for the world to come in, drug dealers and prisoners. Venezuela, as an example, opened their prisons into the United States. That's why one of the reasons I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now, I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice. And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maria, maybe we can do that. But we're dealing with the people and the president and all of the people in Venezuela, and we've been doing great. The oil companies are getting ready to make massive investments there. They have more oil than even Saudi Arabia. There you go. These are real.
JD Vance is sleeping with
This
Eric
is all Minnesota, every
Kirk.
one of them.
Now that's interesting. That's an interesting theory.
This is one state out of many. And these people are, let's see, yeah, these are all, so far, people
Is
that
this
came from
just
outside
show
of the
and
country who were
tell?
allowed in by Sleepy Joe Biden, Crooked Joe Biden, whichever you like. You can call him whatever you like. They're both right. He's sleepy and he's crooked. He's
This
the
is
worst
just
president
show
we've ever
and tell right now.
We've had some bad ones too. I can tell you. You have to
Thank
look at
you,
trade.
Trump. Very kind
you're
of
not
you
getting
to show
bored,
and
sir. Okay.
tell. I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Bro, he just continues on his show and tell. Like, watch, they zoom in, and it's like, this guy stole a candy bar from a gas station. We got his ass.
And this is something. Oh, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. What, did you hear that? That was nasty. But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened as my finger fell off. That was nasty. I think somebody did that. I think it was him.
Okay, see this, God damn it, he's a funny guy. And that's the one thing I will give Donald Trump. He is a funny guy. I'm not gonna lie.
My man, how are you? You didn't do it. I know you did. I know you did. So, but here's the book. These are all things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These are all, each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff, too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world. So, I will read you a few. We ended Biden's stagflation. We were in stagflation. That's a disaster. That's far worse than inflation. As you know, he had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. Pick your choice. But they had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. We have it right down to a normal number now. We're going to get it even a little
All
low.
these speeches he gives, he never talks about housing affordability or a healthcare plan. Very true. I do think that's something we need to focus on right now.
Created super high.
That's
we've done with
something
growth is
for,
we created-
that is something that I think the Democrats are taking dubs on right there. Flips it like a picture book, bro. I know. He's like, here's this one. Oh, look at this guy. He's a very scary guy. I don't know. I think if we really wanted to address crime, instead of just raising tensions, we need to surge money to the police force. You know what I'm saying? But the police force invest in things that the Trump administration doesn't like reach out programs. So I think that's why he's going willy-nilly with these ICE guards or ICE agents.
It's super high economic growth, and America's booming. It's booming.
ICE has its place in like deportations and stuff like that, but it doesn't need its own armed wing.
Thousands of businesses right now that are being built. Many of the biggest factories in the world are being built. Right.
You guys are making me so fucking hungry right now. I'm having pizza for dinner today, and you have no idea what you're doing to me right now. Getting
fourth quarter GDP is on track to pass perhaps much more than 5% growth, and that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. They shut down our country, and we had 5%. Nobody in this room has ever heard about 5%. I think it could be 20% if we do it right. If we don't, every time we have good numbers, they raise interest rates. In the old days, if you had good numbers, they'd lower interest rates, or they wouldn't do anything. Here, they try and kill it. They always try and kill success. Over the last 20, 25 years, that's the way. In the old days, if you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. Today, if you have good numbers, the market goes down. But by the way, we've had the best stock market in history, the best 401ks in history, and we inherited a mess. The numbers that we inherited were way up, and now we brought them, almost all of them, way down. We brought them way down. I mean, I'm not getting, maybe I have the bad public relations people, but we're not getting it across. We inherited high numbers, and we brought them way down. And look at gasoline. They have places in the country now, $1.99
yeah, he's talking about his approval rating, right? Getting high numbers.
$1.99, $2.30, $2.50. I guess the average now they're saying is $2.31. I mean, he was at $4.50 and $5 for periods of time. And he went back to the Trump formula, but he didn't do it properly, and he really went back to parts of it because he would have had $8 gasoline if they didn't, but he didn't do it properly. He had people that didn't know what they were doing. Core inflation for the last 3 months is 1.6%. 1.6. Their core inflation was so high that nobody could even calculate it. Under Biden, real incomes declined $3,000.
ICE does not need 20 guys to pick up one. I'm sorry. I think that's a little cope right there. I think that's some cope.
In 12 months, Trump real incomes went up by $2,000 and $3,000, and even in some cases $5,000. It's a tremendous difference. Stock market has set 52 all-time record highs during the course of
it would honestly benefit ICE not to have as many people, so they're not as much of a big threat. Having this many people is unnecessary.
Because this was done in 11 months. Now we're actually officially 12 months as of today. 52 all-time record highs. That means 401ks did great. I have people see me all the time, policemen that guard us really well, and got to know them a little bit. They said, "So you're making me look so good. My 401ks through the roof." My wife thinks I'm the greatest genius, that I'm a financial genius, like Warren Buffett. He told me that. He said, "I think they have better returns than Warren Buffett."
On pepperoni
but,
pizza.
All my life, my
now
wife
that's
criticizing
interesting.
me for not being smart financially. Now all of a sudden she loves me more. But we added $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, saving many people. I mean, they were going out of business. Think of it. We added $9 trillion of value to retirement accounts, savings accounts, and 401ks. That's during the course of 12 months. And I think it's probably 11 months because I don't think they have it for the 12. They have it for the 11. Added $9 trillion of value.
Oh, trust
Lifted
me,
more than
famous.
1.2 million
Me
Americans
too.
off food stamps in 1 year. They would have had another
Me
1.2 million.
too.
We would have had, welfare would have gone up. And instead of investing $18 trillion in our country, now it's probably more than that, but $18 trillion and having thousands of plants being built all over the country, you would have had thousands of plants closing all over the country. And you would have had disinvestment. And you would have had...
Well, microkernel, then why don't they coordinate with the local PD? They don't even try. You see it in their rhetoric. You see it in their actions.
Welfare going way up. You know, if you look at SNAP, take a look at SNAP, what happened with that? It was at $7 billion, and it came out to over $51 billion. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. The past administration had no clue. Or they were really bad, but they basically had no clue. But they did have a concept. I mean, they're still trying to sell the idea of men playing in women's sports. You saw that in the Supreme Court. I mean, some of those justices were fighting for him, too. They were fighting for him. You saw that just the other day in the Supreme Court. Men playing in women's sport doesn't work. Secured a record-breaking $18 trillion in commitments on new investments. Apple, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Oracle, TSMC, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly and Company, Micron, AstraZeneca, General Motors, Hyundai, Ford, Honda, GE Aerospace, many others. I left a Ford plant.
Be boring if everyone agreed on the same thing. I totally disagree, and that's why I don't like time people out who disagree with me. You know, a lot of other channels will do that, but I don't really, only if they say like slurs or the or celebrate an American's death. I will get pretty upset about that, or anybody's death, truly.
A week ago in Michigan that they were going to close 2 years ago, and now they just announced that they're going 24 hours around the clock making cars. Terrorists did it. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do.
Well, Microcolonel, what if the local PD doesn't want ICE there? I think I've heard from the Minnesota PD that they don't want ICE there. And at that point, it's a state issue, you know? If they can handle it, then they can handle it. Why does this have to be a federal crackdown?
I think it so plainly.
Got to go to sleep, take care
You're allowed to do a
everyone,
license.
wish you the
Tariff is
best. Hey, have a
probably
great
less
day.
severe than what a license could be. But think of it, you're allowed to do a license, and then they have a clause at the end, something to the effect, or what is necessary, something to that effect. And what is necessary with tariffs. I don't know where there's a case even there, but we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, and if we lose that case, it's possible we're going to have to do the best we can in paying it back. I don't know how that's going to be done very easily without hurting
Plugged
a lot of
into
people.
the Matrix.
But we're waiting
Yeah,
for that case
right.
anxiously, and we have tremendous national security because of tariffs, and tremendous income. You know, we have, and by the way, no inflation. So everyone said, "Oh, tariffs will cause inflation." We have no inflation. We have very little inflation. Biden had inflation, and he didn't do tariffs. We had a huge problem. We have a 62% reduction in our trade deficit. So if you had a 1% reduction, a normal president would have a 1%, 2% reduction. Everybody would be high-fiving. Had a 62% reduction. Next year, we won't have a trade deficit. We secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much. To me, I think this might be the biggest thing of all. We get zero talk about it. The New York Times had a story way in the back of the paper, a little story about it. I think it's the biggest thing there is when you talk
Set
about
the
healthcare.
pedophile
Drug
in
prices will go down more
yes,
than
it is.
ever before for any country, because we were priced at such a level that we were subsidizing the entire world, big place in the world. We were paying 10, 12, 13 times more than other countries. 13 times, well, not 13%, 13 times more. A pill that was selling in
this
London.
is just Trump's normal shtick, because we have a shorter show today, I think we'll do our rightoid of the day real quick, which is Benny Johnson. He is so excited about Trump shocking the stadium. Actually, let's see if there's any other news on Benny's channel. I mean, no, that's 4 hours ago. Super Bowl gets more woke. Ah, I hate woke. Views turn on Clinton. Oh, geez, Benny. You're serving up some stuff today. Hold on. I gotta adjust some stuff. All right. And then we do have this some random guy speak guy. Honestly, let's just watch a Benny Johnson clip. We'll comment on it. Like I said, today's going to be a bit of a shorter episode because I do have to celebrate with my family who just got here. So I will we'll watch this video and then I'll probably I'm so sorry. I know we haven't had much content recently, but we'll be starting we'll be starting a podcast here soon with my good friend Mirutzi, so get excited for that. And potentially Mina, still iffy on that one, so get excited for that. But I have been pretty busy getting that all set up, so that's why you guys haven't seen as many streams as of recently, but that should end here soon.
What's up, guys? Spenny. It's not exactly a perfect or scientific show of support, but when President Trump is introduced to large crowds at stadium events like national championship.
Hold on, we've got a call incoming. Hello? Yes, who is this? Who is this?
Hi, this is Chloe calling from the Medicare Benefits Review Center.
No way. Really? I've been needing the Medicare benefits. Thank God. My
benefits or reimbursement to help with everyday expenses. To see if you qualify, I just need to confirm. Do you currently have Medicare Part A and Part B?
No. No, I don't. Do you have Medicare A and B? Do you? Oh, now you're going silent on me. Typical. Just typical. Well, I hope you're having a good day at the office, man. Or, ma'am. Oh, they hung up on me. How rude. How fucking rude was that, ladies and gentlemen? First, they asked me a very personal question of if I'm on Medicaid or not, which I'm not. But then they have the audacity to not even talk to me. I mean, what is this?
Football events, you can just sort of tell where the people's hearts are. Like, listen to this.
You can just hear where their hearts are. You can just hear it, ladies and gentlemen.
At the Super Bowl last year, not just from this angle, but also from the telecast. Right here, you can hear the delay and the cheers, and you can also see it from the crowd right here.
What is this stupid ass fucking... I swear, Benny is the laziest content creator on this platform. He's the laziest. There's no way
Yours.
there's
So
anyone
it
lazier
is
than
slightly
Benny.
different when they show Taylor Swift. The booze. You can see the booze.
Wow. Why is Taylor Swift bad? What's wrong with Taylor Swift? I don't get the right's obsession. I think they just think she's hot.
See the look on Taylor Swift's face saying, "What's going on?" according to the lip reaction. Taylor Swift looking very nervous. The witch of the NFL.
That's so rude, dude. That is so mean. The witch of the NFL? I'm not going to say the joke I had about Benny, but anyways.
What's going on? She's literally there with Ice Spice, who's a real witch and an actual demon worshiper who wears pentagrams and satanic iconography.
She's a
to
demon
these games
worshiper.
in order to affect
A demon
youth.
worshiper,
Anyway, the point
dude.
is that
What? Ice Spice is a demon worshiper? I had no idea about that. That makes her like 10 times hotter, dude. What?
the evil is collapsing in our society and the good is rising, and that is a wonderful thing. It was on.
Bro, what? He got that from this NFL performance? No fucking way, Benny. There is no fucking way. From this, you get evil is collapsing and good is rising. What, dude? This is a reach. This is a reach, even for old Benny boy.
Full display last night at the national championship game for college football. Touchdown in Miami. Trump enjoys night out with Ivanka and Kai. Football family playoff final gets a raucous reception from fans in Miami. Donald Trump beloved and cheered and sat up in a box with that giant bulletproof
Yeah, look
glass.
at that guy. He looks like he really is glad Donald Trump is there. Wow, they look happy. Look at these two people enjoying where they are right now. Wow. They are happy people. Look how happy they are, guys. Holy shit.
A lot of A-listers there to watch Indiana.
Hold on,
in a
go
box.
back.
Donald
Go
Trump
back.
beloved and cheered and sat up in a box.
Okay. They looked a little happier in those photos, but wow, that is not a great photo to have.
With that giant bulletproof glass. A lot of A-listers there to watch Indiana win the national championship. President Trump there with
Now, guys, I do have a
his
question.
daughter and son-in-law, his grandchildren.
Oh my God, is that Jared Kushner? Jesus Christ. Holy shit, why do they look so unhappy? Why do
Up
they
there
look
with,
so unhappy? By the way, why is he wet? That is so rich person coded. Anyways.
His daughter and son-in-law, his grandchildren, daughter-in-law there, Laura Trump, and the whole family. Dana White was there, but listen to this reception that the president got.
They're basically the family.
Really beautiful stuff here. There you go.
And
In a short
bright
clip,
stars.
right? This is a national telecast, but you can hear the rowdy roars from the people there in Miami. Probably some
Listen how
Venezuelan
loud they are.
refugees
They're
there.
very
Pretty
loud.
happy that Trump just black-bagged their dictator.
Whoa,
Donald
what? That is crazy.
Trump walking in with his grandchildren into the event there with Dana White, and you can see Marco Rubio in the background.
Why are they holding hands? Okay, no, they're not holding hands. I was about to say, why the fuck are they holding hands, Benny? See Marco Rubio there. That's also known as his day attendant. They make sure to have Marco Rubio around at all times. He's actually the one that carries the nuclear football. They don't trust Trump with it anymore.
President Trump
after
flexing his massive family that loves him. That is the greatest flex of all time. Having kids who love you. President Trump's job approval. Doing great in comparison to the last couple of presidents. Joe Biden, George W. Bush.
Oh, no, that is massive code.
Barack Obama. President Trump is beating all of them for his second term. But, you know, people want things to be better, right? You got right direction, wrong direction. President Trump has a 42% job approval, 55% disapproval. I have a feeling that's going to flip this year.
That's cope. By the way, is my chat not working? I think it just it stopped working for a moment. My bad, guys. I am so sad. I'm so sorry that I was not able to see your guys' chats. I was wondering, like, damn, nobody's talking in the chat right now. But sorry about that, guys.
Here, I really, truly do. President Trump, when he sees the crowd, you can hear it. Listen to the cheers.
I think is that the daughter he said he'd want to sleep with? Hey, dogs.
Trump that was taken throughout the evening.
I think, yeah, that's the daughter he said he wanted to sleep with, right?
Jake Paul.
His
broken jaw inside of the glass. What if you bought a ticket to the national championship and you sat right next to Trump on the other side of the glass? He's there with Doug Burgum, Interior Secretary. There's Ron DeSantis. Nice to see.
Love you, dude. I love you, Trump.
Dana White, obviously. The legend.
Protesting is more American than apple pie and baseball combined. Those in charge want us to forget this.
A couple, I don't know, older dudes. I don't actually recognize that guy. But there's old guys in there. Trump having a great time sitting there. Full view.
Can you tap Trump on the shoulder? Tell him to turn around.
There you go. Okay.
Wow.
So Trump, a man of the people, there to enjoy the game and
God,
have a
Benny
great time.
is just so fucking boring, dude. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, there it is, guys. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, that's half of his commentary.
Trump waving with his full family. Again, what a flex. This is the flex. The flex is having all the kids, all of your kids and all your grandkids, your progeny there, having a family that loves you and wants to be with you.
Nice catching up. Have an awesome birthday. And now that you're older, careful with the sugar. Oh, yeah.
having the guys who ran against
that.
you in some pretty nasty races
Trust me.
standing there next to you, right? Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump really went at each other. It's beautiful to see. The two of them are getting around. DeSantis maneuvering perfectly heading into 2028. Uh-oh. Well, here you go. Trump's already said he wants JD, but who knows? President Trump waving at the crowd. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was also at the game. Again, big-time Miami flex. Marco Rubio went to Miami.
Big-time Miami flex there.
The game itself
God,
was newsworthy.
like, what am I supposed to... You know what I mean? I think, let's just fucking end off with trying to end this. I don't know, dude. That was just so embarrassing. Like, what? This is so boring, dude. Like, come on.
As you have...
This is what he's talking
broken
about.
jaw.
Not about Greenland, not about any of that. This is what he's talking about. The football game that Trump attended. Any news about Greenland? Any news? Silent, huh, Benny? Oh my, let's see what he has to say.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Benny.
This is his meme.
Well, looks like we are getting a McDonald's.
What's up, guys? Spenny. If you're on the fence about America needing Greenland, let me give you a wonderful argument here that will convince you for all time. This is the number one way to surround Canada. Without Greenland being European, Canada is completely landlocked by America, and this is the number one way to get back at the Canadians, and of course, to ensure that Canada ultimately bends the knee to the American empire. It must all be America, is what our founders desired. It was actually the first battle of the Revolutionary War, was the Battle of Quebec. We've been wanting Canada for a long time. We were too nice in previous generations. We let weaker powers keep it, and now, ladies and gentlemen, Canada also must be ours. President Trump making some shocking moves on the Greenland front this week. Not only did he meet with Danish officials at the White House, and they announced effectively they're going to sell Greenland to America, but Trump is now engaging in military drills over the island. Let's call it fighter jets over Greenland for the first time ever. Trump imposes.
Why is he so happy about that? This is so stupid.
On 8 European countries to force them into Greenland deal, levy to increase until agreement is reached. Donald Trump is serious about this. President Trump called himself the tariff king yesterday, and saying this is the number one way to ensure that we get what we want is to make sure that you play nice with us. You need the American economy. Everyone on earth needs the American economy. Without it, your country collapses into North Korea style third worldism. And yeah, Europe.
Third worldism. What is that?
Europe is like
What
effectively
is
welfare state
third
for America at this point.
worldism?
It is what it is. Donald Trump announced he will impose increasing tariffs on
Is
8 European
that
countries
the,
unless they agree to let the U.S. take over Greenland. Britain,
I don't
France,
get
Denmark,
that.
Germany, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the Netherlands will be hit by 10% levy on any goods entering the United States from February 1st. The president announced on Truth Social. Trump said that if no deal was reached by June, the tariff will increase to 25%. The president referred himself as a tariff king, called Denmark to relinquish the mineral-rich territory, claiming that peace was at stake. Only the United States of America under President Trump can play this game very successfully. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States is at stake. Trump said that the 8 countries targeted due to the response sending troops to Greenland over the last few days. This is really funny. Each country has sent like a single soldier to Greenland. The countries have all sent one soldier each. So Britain sent one soldier, Norway sent one soldier, and I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see if that plays out. How that plays out for you. Denmark and EU refusing to give Trump Greenland is going to be the biggest mistake they've ever made.
All right, guys. I think I'm going to end the stream even earlier because I do have to say hi to my family and all that. So I'm sorry it was a bit of a shorter stream. We should be getting back to our regular schedule tomorrow. You'll see the schedule stream, but for now, I'm going to head out. You know, we have so much going on. It's hard to comment on it in such a short amount of time. But anyways, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be awesome and have a great day. Peace.